So this winter when we were on retreat, we got the Snow Lion Publications newsletter, which we get every quarter. And there was a little piece in here that was taken from the 7-Point Mind Training by, or the commentary by B. Alan Wallace, that I pulled out and saved as something that I wanted to pay some attention to, and I thought it would be a useful thing to bring up in the community, actually. So, given a sort of impromptu Bodhisattva Breakfast Corner, I thought I would take it from that. We all know, and Venerable Children, of course, guides us regularly about how damaging to our practice it is to compare ourselves with others. You know, and how easily we can go into our own kind of discouragement process, our self-abuse, by looking around and going, oh, she speaks so much better than I do, and that person spends so much more time studying than I do. I wish I was a better studier. And we all know how we can, especially after we've spent 3 months looking around and usually not being so happy with our own practice and thinking that everybody else's must be great, and they're probably in samadhi, and what's wrong with me, and they're going to become Buddhas, and I'm going to spend the rest of my eons in hell, and blah, 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 blah. All that kind of stuff, which does nothing but it's suffering, and it does nothing but like perpetuate our discouraged state of mind. We don't even think to go to an antidote. We just compare ourselves, fantasizing what the other people are experiencing. We don't actually know, but kind of fantasizing how much better they are than we are, and then we just go down the tubes. So there's that side, but there's another aspect of it that is a little more insidious, and I think more subtle, and equally damaging to ourselves and also to any community that we're in. And that's the relief we sometimes get by pointing out the faults of others. And it can happen kind of in a spiritual environment. So here's the thing, here's the quote that he says, like, did you ever notice how stingy Susan is? I have my problems too, but I've never been like that. Right? That mind. He also has a quote, did you ever notice how much so-and-so fidgets on the cushion? Gosh, they just can't keep their mind still. I'm so glad I've gotten past that. Or whatever. Now, I recognize some of those things coming out of my mouth. Not exactly those things verbatim, but that kind of mind that can go, oh, look at that, and I'm so glad I don't do that. I may not say it, and sometimes I do. Sometimes we say it in our attempt to connect with other people, to just like have conversation. Well, we don't really have much else to talk about, so let's talk about this person who's sitting between us, who can't seem to sit still, so we can talk about that for just a minute. We're not going to rag on it. But it is a comparison. That what he's pointing out is that by association, in a way, we're kind of elevating our own sense of ourself at the expense of someone else. And it's just a kind of misguided, an antidote. We think it's an antidote. We don't think this consciously, but it's a misguided antidote to try to make ourselves feel better. So in comparison, well, I may not be this, and this, and this, but at least I can sit still. It's like that kind of mind, which is not very conducive for community harmony in a way. Where it undermines our practice of equanimity, but it's subtle. It can be gross. We can also just gossip and kvetch about other people, and that can be really noticeable and obvious, and you feel dreadful after it. But this is the more subtle kind of comparison, where you don't even really notice. You've just stated an obvious fact. You feel a little better about yourself, and on you go in the day. So unfortunately, I didn't have time to look this up, but there is a quote, I think it's from the Dhammapada, where the Buddha says very clearly, do not be concerned with what others have done, have not done, should have done, could have done. Be concerned with what you have done, have not done, should have done, could have done. And that is a very, very difficult mind to keep, especially living in a community where we all affect each other so much, and you can simply look at the chore rota and notice that, well, I didn't take out the compost yet today. So I just thought to bring it up because it was an interesting thing that kind of piqued my thought process around how that kind of comparison and a need to elevate myself if I'm not in a good place may fall to the kind of speech that none of us really wants to do. The kind of speech that's really harmful for ourselves and others, but is often more subtle than we're often looking. So, I don't know, it's been 24 hours trying to be concerned with what we could do, have done and haven't done, and not what anybody else has done and hasn't done, and see how that works.